The sun had barely risen over the dusty plains when Colt Harwood reined in his horse. The trail ahead was quiet, too quiet, and years of riding the frontier had taught him to trust the silence. As he scanned the horizon, he spotted movement. A woman stumbling along the dirt road, clutching her torn shawl, her steps uneven like she'd been walking all night. Colt urged his horse forward. She turned at the sound of hooves, eyes wide, frightened and desperate. Dust streaked her face, her dress ripped at the hem, her lips cracked from thirst. When Colt slowed beside her, she backed away as though expecting a blow. "You all right, ma'am?" Colt asked gently. Her throat bobbed. "Please." She hesitated before whispering, "I need a ride. I can pay you." Colt frowned. "I'm not asking for money." She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "No, I meant, I can offer my body if you just take me away from here. Please, I don't have anything else." The words hit Colt like a punch. He saw the fear behind them, the trembling shame, the exhaustion of someone pushed beyond the edge. Slowly, he dismounted, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "Ma'am, I'm not taking nothing from you," he said firmly. "Least of all that." She looked confused, unsure if she should trust him. Colt gently took her hand, ice cold and trembling, and guided her toward his horse. "You're safe now," he said softly, lifting her onto the saddle as though she weighed no more than a feather. "No one's going to hurt you while I'm here." The woman, who finally whispered her name as Lila, clung to the horn of the saddle. Colt climbed up behind her, careful not to make her uncomfortable. As they started down the trail, Lila's breaths came unsteady, her eyes scanning the horizon like wolves might leap from every shadow. Colt didn't push her for answers. He just rode steady, letting her lean back when her strength faltered. Eventually, she whispered, "He told me he'd marry me, then sold me to those men." Colt's jaw tightened. "You don't owe nobody nothing," he said. "We'll get you someplace safe." And though Lila didn't fully believe safety existed anymore, something in Colt's calm voice, steady as an old oak, made her cling to the small spark of hope she'd almost lost. As they rode into the growing light, Lila looked over her shoulder one last time at the road she'd escaped. She didn't know where Colt was taking her, or why he'd helped her without asking anything in return. But for the first time in days, she breathed without shaking. Maybe, just maybe, this cowboy wasn't another man who'd take something from her. Maybe he was the first one who'd ever truly listened. Maybe he was her only chance at a new beginning, one she'd never dared to imagine. They rode for nearly an hour before Lila's body finally relaxed, exhaustion overpowering fear. Colt felt her weight slump against him, but he didn't wake her. Not yet. He guided the horse gently, letting her sleep while the prairie wind carried the scent of sage and earth. By the time she stirred again, they were approaching a small wooden cabin nestled near a quiet creek. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney. "This your home?" she asked softly. "Just a place I stay when I'm riding this side of the country," Colt replied. "Figured you could rest a bit." Her fingers tightened on the saddle horn. "What do you want in return?" Colt sighed. "Ma'am, I want you to stop asking that. You need help. I'm helping. That's it." Lila looked away, ashamed. "Men don't do things for nothing." "I do." He helped her down, steadying her when her legs nearly buckled. Inside the cabin, he offered her water, a blanket, and some warm stew from the pot on the stove. She ate like she hadn't tasted food in days, tears slipping down her cheeks without her noticing. "Lila." Colt sat across from her. "If you're running from someone, I need to know who. Her spoon paused midair. The silence stretched before she finally whispered, Elias Thatcher. A traitor. He promised me marriage. Said he'd give me a home. My folks died last winter. I had no one left. I trusted him. Colt's jaw clenched. He took me to a camp, she continued, voice trembling. Said he needed to stop for the night, but then he traded me to 3 men, like livestock. Colt's hands curled into fists. Where are they now? I ran while they were drinking. I think they're looking for me. They won't find you here, Colt said. But if Thatcher's involved, he ain't gonna give up easy. Fear flashed in her eyes. I should keep moving. I don't want trouble following you. Colt shook his head. You're not going anywhere till you're strong enough, and I ain't scared of trouble. She stared at him, searching for deception, but found none. Colt was unlike any man she'd known. Quiet, steady, honorable in a way she didn't think existed anymore. That night, Lila lay curled on a cot near the fire, wrapped in a quilt. Colt sat by the window, rifle across his lap, watching the darkness. He'd seen men like Thatcher before, wolves hiding in nice suits. Lila drifted toward sleep, watching Colt's silhouette. She couldn't understand why he cared, why he protected her, or why he refused every offer she made. But she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Safe, maybe even hopeful. She closed her eyes knowing that someone was finally standing between her and the nightmares she'd run from. Someone who owed her nothing but chose to defend her anyway. Just before dawn, Colt heard horses in the distance, 3 of them. He set down his coffee and stood, quiet as a shadow. Lila sat up instantly, sensing danger as if it were stitched into her bones. They found me, she whispered, panic rising. Colt crossed the room and knelt in front of her. Look at me, Lila. They're not taking you. Not while I'm breathing. His steady voice slowed her breathing. She nodded, gripping the blanket. Outside, 3 men rode into Colt's yard. One of them was Elias Thatcher, slick hair, polished boots, and a smile as false as a rattlesnake's rattle. Morning, Harwood, Thatcher called. Word is you picked up something that belongs to me. Colt stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. A woman ain't something, and she sure as hell don't belong to you. Thatcher chuckled. She ran off from my camp. I'm just here to collect her. Colt's expression didn't change. She says you sold her. Thatcher's mask cracked, irritation slipping through. She don't know what she's talking about. Now hand her over before this gets messy. Inside, Lila trembled. Her legs refused to move, but her heart beat with something new. Courage. This man had stolen everything from her. Her trust, her dignity, her freedom. She wouldn't let him take her again. She stepped onto the porch. I'm not going with you, she said, voice shaking but steady. Thatcher sneered. You think this cowboy can protect you? He's just one man. Colt cocked the rifle. One's all it takes. The standoff stretched until the 2 hired men shifted uncomfortably. They weren't getting paid enough to die for Thatcher's lies. Thatcher spat on the ground. This isn't over. Yeah, Colt said. It is. Thatcher yanked his reins and rode off, his men following. When the dust settled, Lila's knees buckled. Colt caught her before she fell. It's done, he said softly. You're free. She looked up at him, eyes wet. Why did you help me? You could have left me on that road. Colt brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Careful, gentle. Because no woman should have to trade her body to survive. Because you deserved better. Because No one ever helped you before, and that ain't right. Lila swallowed hard. I don't know how to start over. You ain't startin' alone. He led her back inside, his hand steady on her back. For the first time in months, she felt the weight of fear sliding off her shoulders like an old coat. Days later, as they prepared to travel to a nearby town where she could build a new life, Lila looked at Colt with something deeper than gratitude. Trust, hope, maybe even something blooming quietly in her chest. You saved my life, she whispered. Colt shook his head. Nah, you saved yourself. I just gave you a horse to ride on. But Lila knew better. The cowboy hadn't just given her a ride. He'd given her back her freedom and her future.